Welcome, welcome, guys. Today's training is going to be on mold and safety awareness. We're going to go over a couple of slides. We're going to watch a short video, um, so we can pretty much better understand how to treat mold and how to tell when something is mold and how to rectify the situation.
Sounds good.
Okay, so the objective, the participants, which would be you guys, will examine the basic of mold, analyze health hazards associated with mold, identify and recognize safety hazards, describe fundamental protective measures, interpret rules and regulations regarding mold.
Okay.
Leviticus 14, chapter 37 to 55, house plague. So, mushroom poisoning happens every day from eating wild mushrooms. Ergot poisoning, St. Anthony's fire, and Salem's witch trail. Irish potato famine, millions of Irish to immigrate to U.S. because a mold killed the staple crops. So, what are we talking about? Fungi, naturally occurring organisms that are essential to decay of organic matter. Mold and mildew describe fungi. Biologicals, water sources, example problems like fungi, and bioaerosols. Biological aerosols, airborne droplets containing mold spores, bacteria, and microbial volatile organic compound. Okay, we used to use them. Okay, any questions on that? So the mold basics. So molds are part of the natural environments, breaks down organic matter. Mold should be avoided indoors. Mold can grow on almost any surface. Water or excessive moisture speeds up mold growth. So basically, molds are part of the natural environment. Molds are fungi that can be found anywhere, inside or outside, through the years. About 1,000 species of mold can be found in the United States, with more than 100,000 known species worldwide. So mold decomposition. So outdoor molds plays an important role in nature by breaking down organic matter such as toppled trees, falling leaves, and dead animals. We would not have food and medicine like cheese and penicillin without mold. Now, indoor mold growth should be avoided. Problem may arise when mold starts eating away at materials, affecting the look, smell, and possibly with the respect to wood frame buildings, affecting the structural integrity of the building.
Are you on another slide?
I'm reading off my notes to you guys.
Okay.
Molds gradually damage buildings, materials, and furnishings. If left unchecked, mold can eventually cause structural damage to wood frame building, weakening floors and walls at it on moist wooden structure members. If you suspect the mold has damaged building integrity, consult a structural engineer or other professionals with the appropriate expertise. So basically, mold can grow anywhere. Mold can grow on virtually any substance as long as moisture or water, oxygen, and an organic source are present. Mold will produce by creating tiny spores, viable seeds, not be seen without magnification. Mold spores constantly float through the indoor and outdoor air. So mold definitely needs moisture. So molds are usually not a problem unless mold spores land on a damp spot and begin growing. They digest whatever they land on in order to survive. There are molds like grown wood, paper, carpet, food, and insulation, while other molds feast on everyday dust and dirt that gather in the moist regions of a building. When excessive moisture of water accumulates indoors, mold growth often will occur, particularly in the moisture problems remain uncorrected. but it is impossible to eliminate all molds and mold spores. Controlling moisture can control indoor mold growth. Since mold requires water to grow, it is important to prevent excessive moisture in buildings. Some moisture problems in buildings have been linked to change in building construction practices since the 70s, which resulted in tightly sealed buildings, which diminished ventilation, contributing to moisture vapor buildup. Other moisture problems may result from roof leaks, landscapings, or gutters that are direct water to or under a building, are unvented combustion plants. Delay or insufficient maintenance may contribute to moisture problems in buildings. Improper maintenance and design of building, heating, ventilation, ventilating, air conditioning, such as insufficient cooling capacity for air conditioning system. That can result in elevated humidity and levels in the building. So, with that said, okay, mold does not need sunlight to grow. It only needs a spore, and at the right temperature, that dark space can damage building materials and furnishing. It can eventually lead to structural damage.
I have a question.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah.
Now what I know that moisture can speed up from what you just read. It speeds up, but is there something in particular that would trigger for mold to occur, or would it just be humidity or moisture?
Humidity and moisture. Anywhere there's pondering water in an apartment when it's not ventilated will create mold. But
Okay.
all you need is a damp area to land. Okay? So basically, like this slide says, just add water and they grow. So if it's unventilated, then the mold will continue growing. All right. So some signs of mold. So this is pretty much a brick. I'm gonna say is maybe a basement or something. You got carpeting, and it looks like the carpet got wet and it was not dried up. So this is what happens. Okay. So what can help prevent mold in a bathroom? Any ideas?
Painting the walls with.
Well, what you just said, ventilation.
Yeah, ventilation definitely.
All right. So, John?
You could make an additive to paint M1 just to hinder the growth.
Okay. So if I look at this picture here, okay, now you see where the shower head is?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So the tile was installed high enough to accommodate the splash area.
Oh.
But the biggest contributor to the perfect environment for mold is the absence of a ceiling exhaust fan. Okay?
Which some of our homes have.
Our homes have. There's a window here, okay? But the window is really not much of a ventilating because the exhaust fan pretty much sucks up the steam, which gets to the walls, and the walls become sweaty. And then if you don't have no type of ventilation, if someone likes to take a hot bath or a hot shower, then that water penetrates the sheetrock and it just sits there. And guess what? So as you take showers on a daily basis, you're creating a housing for mold. Any questions on that?
No, sir.
Okay, so this here, John. Remember we went to that house that there was sort of like mildew in the corners. Okay, so this is due to poor lack of insulation. Okay, especially in the winter months when you got the heat going in your house, and then the wall is cold outside the wall, so it mixes up. And then since there's no way of ventilating it, what happens is that it just creates mold. Okay, so all indoor mold growth situations should be resolved and quickly. So the way you would treat this is not paint over it. Okay, you have to actually cut all the sheetrock off. Okay, cut it all out, dispose it properly. Make sure you wear the protective gear, gloves, mask, and a suit. Okay, in some states it requires you to have a license to rectify mold, just like lead. Or so in some states you just cut out all that sheetrock, you insulate the inside of the wall, done deal. Okay. So we're going to talk about Katrina. When they had the floods over there. So with all the floods and everything, no, lack of ventilation. This is the outcome of untreated mold. It just keeps growing, especially with the weather being so damp and hot over there. It's just a factor, for mold to grow. Okay. So the health effects due to mold is burning eyes, um, headaches, nausea, nosebleeds, allergic reaction, asthma, exhaustion, sinus infection, conjunctive disorder, pulmonary hemorrhage, liver damage, central nervous system damage, brain damage, cancer, and death. Okay, so pretty much there are many types of mold. So most typical indoor air exposure to mold do not present the risk of adverse health effects. Mold can cause adverse effect by producing allergens. Substances that can cause allergens reaction, potential health concerns are important reasons to prevent mold growth and to remediate existing problem areas. So the onset of allergic reaction to mold can be either immediate or delayed. Allergic response includes hay fever type symptoms such as runny nose and red eyes. Mold may cause localized skin or mucosal infection, but in general do not cause systemic infection in humans, except for persons with impaired immune, AIDS, uncontrolled diabetes, or those taking immune suppressive drugs. An important reference with guidelines for immunocompromised individuals can be found at the CDC website. Okay, so when you get a tenant that says, "Oh, I have lung disease or I have lung infection because of the mold," clearly tells you here that it doesn't cause those effects. Okay, so mold can also cause asthma attacks in some individuals who are allergic to mold. In addition, exposure to molds can irritate the eyes, skin, nose, and throat. In certain individuals, symptoms other than allergic and irritant types are not commonly reported as a result of inhaling mold in the indoor environment. Okay? So, again, symptoms other than allergic and irritant types are not commonly reported as a result of inhaling mold in the indoor environments. Okay? So, moving forward, did you write this down, Alex? All right, moving on. Okay, so many chronic sinus infections are linked to mold exposures. So you have the ethmoid sinuses, okay, which gives you that tickle on the top of your nose and runny nose, and which triggers your eyes. Then you have your frontal sinuses, okay, your maxillary sinuses, sphenoid sinuses, and sinuses are hollow areas with the bodies. Okay, so I don't know what she's doing here, but that's just not sanitary. Any questions on that? Okay. So, some mold skin disorders caused by exposure to mold. So it's pretty much like mosquito bites or bed bug bite. It's just a red spot, may itch, maybe a little swollen. Get lesions or abscess resulting from chitomium. So that's a form of sickness from the mold. Okay. Now the Katrina cough. Okay. It is said that a lot of respiratory illness is thought to be linked to exposure to mold and dust after the 2005 Hurricane Katrina in the United States. So people were living with that, so they held that. And later on, I'll explain to you what the characteristic of mold looks like versus mildew, because a lot of people confuse that. Sorry, guys. All right, so let's talk about recent studies have linked mold to the rapid rise of the asthma rate over the past 20 years. Okay, asthma is a respiratory infection of the lungs. Okay, now people use the term as sick building. Okay, buildings don't get sick, people do. Remember that. One building can't contaminate another one. Sick buildings can't be cured. The fungal growth in building is excess moisture. Okay? It's excess moisture. All right? Any questions on that?
No.
Here, we'll get some water.
All right, so preventative measures. So venting moisture generating appliances. Okay, these are stuff that can help you prevent mold. Venting kitchens and bathrooms, cleaning and drying wet or damp spots, providing adequate drainage around buildings, and pinpointing areas where leaks have occurred. Very important. If you had a prior leak, you have to make sure that we repair that as soon as possible. You know what's coming next, right, Alex? What is that?
No.
Mold. Okay?
Okay.
Okay, so prevent measures. Repairing plumbing leaks, looking for condensation in wet spot, preventing moisture from condensing, keeping HVAC drip pans clean, flowing properly and unobstructed, maintaining indoor relative humidity below 70 degrees. All right, so emergency procedures. Major fiber release, 3 square feet. Stop working immediately. Not attempt to clean up. Secure the area. Notify the supervisor. Contact emergency personnel. And not re-enter area until instructed to do so. Okay, that sounds very serious, right?
Now, okay, so I know that not necessarily if there is a what is the word that and decoloration. So if there's a decoloration, it doesn't necessarily mean it's mold. I understand that.
Well, we're gonna get to that.
Okay.
We're gonna get to the characteristic of what mold looks like.
Okay.
What could be confused as mold.
Okay.
All right, so you need to call a licensed professional. Okay, in a lot of states, you must be licensed to rectify mold in a unit. Did you spill anything? So you need to call a licensed professional. If a major mold problem is discovered, be sure that professionals become involved at an early stage. You don't want to run the risk of cross-contaminating other areas of your home. So the minute you see it, just call somebody right away. Okay, so the rules and regulations as per OSHA and EPA. Okay. So there are many rules and regulations which we must comply with when dealing with asbestos. I'm sure most of you have heard of OSHA, Occupational Safety and Health Administration, Environmental Protected Agency. OSHA deals primarily with employee protection, whereas the EPA covers Air Hazard Management Branch, which is part of the DENR. We also have a University Asbestos Management Program, which includes policy and guidelines. So, the guidance for controlling asbestos containing material in building, the 1985 Purple Book and Management Asbestos in Place of Building Owners Guide to Operation and Maintenance Program for Asbestos Coating Material in the early 90s were also used in development of this program. These documents and other information concerning asbestos are available from the Office of Environmental Health and Safety in Ragsdale 009. Okay. Okay, so new Florida Standard of Assessment and Remediation. Enforcement of unlicensed activity for mold assessors and mold remediation began July 1st, 2011. So prior to this, anybody can go in and just clean up mold, no problem. Oh, look, mold, done. Wipe it off. Nobody ever saw it. Okay. A lot of people say, "Oh, just use bleach." Yeah, that's not gonna happen. That's definitely not gonna happen. All right. So.
And then there's proper chemicals to be used to get rid of mold.
Well, we're gonna get there.
Okay.
We're gonna get there.
What do they use asbestos?
Hold on. So for a mold remediator, it requires you to at least to have a 2-year associate's arts degree. You get a college degree to go to look at a wall and say, "Yep, that's mold." Okay, or at least 30 semester hours of microbiology, engineering, agriculture, industrial hygiene, occupational safety. Okay.
Wow.
Now, yeah.
That's crazy.
So now a mold assessor, at least 2 years associate of art degree or equivalent with 30 semester hours of microbiology, energy, engineering, agriculture, industrial hygiene, occupational safety, and or related field in science. Okay. So basically you need to have a degree.
Wow.
You go look at something and say, "Yep, that is mold," you know? So, all right, so these guys. All right. So if you can see by the picture, okay, she is covered head to toes.
Right.
Okay? She is not exposing any skin whatsoever. Okay. Now these guys, now you notice this is now and this is then. Because they only have a mask on. Yeah, that's not gonna help you.
That's like back in the 70s, isn't
Yes.
it? Or 80s?
Yes, so like I said, anybody could just go in and just rectify mold. But now, OSHA and EPA stepped in and say, "Wait a minute, this cannot be safe." It's okay you're not breathing it in, but let's say you have a cut in your hand or something. Guess what? Mold likes moisture and humidity. So you risk a chance of catching an infection. Okay? So this is why they decided that you need to go to college, get a degree, do what these guys are doing. Okay? All right, so asbestos abatement method. Does anybody know what asbestos is?
I've heard about it. I just Don't know what it is. What it is.
Okay, John.
It was a material they used for insulation and flooring and other things in buildings that we have now determined can cause cancer. It's mostly cancerous in its dust form, and there are very specific rules about touching it when you're doing work around it.
Is that like the fiber that used to be, or that is used in the attic, that you touch it and it itches, or
No,
fiberglass?
that's insulation.
Okay, so it's not the same thing.
No. So asbestos would be, for example,
Well, boiler pipes.
yeah, boiler pipes.
They made floor tiles out of it.
Yeah, so if a house was built in, let's say, 1900s, right? So the chemicals they use contain asbestos in it. That's what bonded. Asbestos was pretty much something that bonded things together. So and then what happens is when it's disturbed, it's like a powdery substance. And if you inhale that, you're pretty much, just sign your own death warrant.
So it used to be used like glue or like a sealant.
It used to be to bind like vinyl together, wall coating, cement, stuff like that. So your homework for tonight is, I want you to email me along with the other homework that I'm still waiting for. What is asbestos? And when was asbestos outed from use? Okay.
And why it was
Outed from
banned.
Yeah, why it was banned. Okay.
You were getting poisoned by it.
So asbestos being inventor, so you have your encapsulation, okay, your closure, and your removal. Okay, so you have to pretty much treat asbestos as if it was anthrax.
Wow.
There's not a lot of places that has asbestos, but in New York, we have steam systems underground on the streets, and we still have asbestos presence, but it's pretty much enclosed and it's encapsulated, so it won't, come out.
Now, what about, like, now that you bring that up, what about homes that are built back in the early 1900s?
Yeah, you could use
Like
the tiles, the paint that they use. Not only did it contain lead, but
right, okay.
asbestos.
So then there's a way, I might be getting ahead of myself, but so there's a way to conceal asbestos versus mold.
Yeah, it says it right here. So you're gonna encapsulation. You're gonna cap it. You're gonna close it, and you're gonna remove it. And then we'll get to how to take care of mold. All right, so moving forward. Asbestos abatement task. Okay, so they survey to identify the asbestos. They notify the occupants. They contain the area. They post notices. Engineers come in, air monitoring, and then accredited contractor.
Wow.
Okay, accredited contractor will be a college guy with a 2-year degree in art. So, all right. So there's a method to do all that. Okay. So now we're gonna get into mold awareness. Okay. So now the questions that you have will be answered here. Okay. So we're gonna watch a short video. Okay.
Hello, my name is Peter Thorne, and I'm a professor at the University of Iowa. I study environmental lung disease, and I worked with flood victims after the devastating Midwest floods of 1993, and also in New Orleans after Hurricane Katrina. Today I want to share some information about mold hazards that arise when the floodwaters recede. Mold is an environmental hazard found at extreme levels in flooded homes and in office buildings that have been flooded. Mold exposure can make you ill, so with a little planning, you can help protect yourself from the toxic effects of molds. First, what is mold? Molds are a form of fungi that are found everywhere, usually in small amounts. They grow very rapidly in hot and humid conditions, especially in flooded homes. Molds produce tiny spores that float through the air, and when they land on a wet surface, such as carpeting, wallboard, or furniture, they can begin to grow. Mold is hazardous to our health, so we need to take precautions to protect ourselves. It enters our body through the mouth or through breathing, and people with sensitive skin may react to contact with molds as well. Molds can produce mild to severe health problems. Examples include stuffy nose, itchy eyes, wheezing, difficulty breathing. And as I said before, molds can cause a skin rash. They often produce strong odors, and these odors can make you feel nauseous or have a sensation of gagging. Mold, most importantly, is a known trigger of allergy and asthma, and so those who are susceptible to those conditions need to take special precautions. How can you protect yourself when you're working in a mold-contaminated area? Well, first of all, children, pregnant women, the elderly, people with asthma and allergy, or people with immune system diseases should not work in mold-contaminated areas at all and should leave the work to others. If working in a mold-contaminated area, you should wear protective clothing, waterproof gloves, protective eyewear, and a disposable shower cap. Use a two-strap, tight-fitting, filtering face mask, such as an N95 respirator, when cleaning up mold. If there's a large amount of mold, even these masks will not provide adequate protection, and you will still be exposed. So in those conditions, the work should be left to professionals. While doing work in these mold-contaminated areas, avoid touching your face, especially your mouth and your eyes. During cleanup, porous materials such as wet insulation, carpeting, drywall, ceiling tiles, curtains, furniture, and fabric likely will be ruined and should be discarded. However, precious documents or photos sometimes can be saved by washing them as soon as possible and drying them thoroughly. There are also services that can restore these for you at a large expense. So if you have something precious such as that, you can freeze it and then take it to a service that can service that document for you. You should not attempt to clean large areas of mold. If you start cleaning and you experience health problems, get out and call a professional to do the work. Be very cautious when cleaning mold because mold releases spores that can contaminate other areas or further expand the problem with the molds. The area should be well ventilated when you clean. Entering a building that has been flooded can be dangerous. So before you enter, be sure there are no electrical or structural hazards. Be sure that there is no toxic waste from stored chemicals that may have spilled during the flood. Watch out for sharp objects such as broken glass that can cut you. And again, don't forget to wear your protective clothing and eyewear. Hard surfaces can be cleaned of mold. Clean these surfaces with detergent and a scrub brush, sponge, or rag. Rinse the surfaces with a lot of clean water, and after the surface is as clean as you can get it, disinfect the surface with a solution of 1 cup of bleach added to a gallon of water. And this bleach solution should be left on the surface for a period of about 6 to 8 hours. After that, put all the dirty rags and sponges that you accumulated in a plastic bag and seal them with duct tape for disposal. Never mix ammonia with bleach because this produces toxic fumes that can be dangerous. After working in a moldy area, you should shower with plenty of soap and you should thoroughly wash your hair. Clothes that you were working in should be washed separately using laundry detergent and 1/4 cup of bleach for each gallon of water. You can also use stain-removing laundry detergent. Keep shoes and work clothes that you wore in the contaminated areas away from clean areas such as your home. Other hazards should be mentioned as well. Most importantly, if you are using gasoline-powered equipment, such as generators or power scrubbers, it is essential to have good ventilation to avoid carbon monoxide poisoning. While using these tools, if you find that you're getting a headache, fatigue, confusion, breathlessness, or nausea, evacuate immediately and seek medical attention. I hope this information is helpful. If you have further questions, you can go to the Environmental Health Sciences Research Center website at the University of Iowa. That is www.ehsrc.org. Thank you.
All right, so Alex, you answered your question on how to clean mold and stuff like that.
Yeah.
Only on hard surfaces. Any questions on that video?
Now that N95 respiratory mask, so that's something that it was used, but not anymore, right?
No, that's the one that has the two filters on the side.
So that still needs to be used, but it's not enough. You still need the whole
No, the
suit.
Well, you need that mask. You can't wear those paper masks because it's gonna see
Right.
through. So, but those are the ones with the double filters on the side.
Mm-hmm.
And we saw the young lady standing on the steps, and she looked like an alien.
Yeah.
Okay. So level of knowledge activity comes the fun part. All right.
One real quick note, if you don't mind.
What's up?
Those filters that they're talking about for the mold,
Yeah.
if you combine those filters with most cleaning solutions, the cleaning solutions will break down the filters. So you want to be careful what you're doing. You understand what I'm saying?
So then you can't mix it, right? Because it's gonna break down.
So if you're cleaning something with a lot of fumes, it'll destroy the filters in about 20 or 30 minutes. So then you want to,
like,
use the right filters.
Nothing like ammonia or Clorox, nothing like that, right?
Yeah, so you want to make sure you use the right filters. That's all.
Okay. So let's test our knowledge. Okay. So what is asbestos?
Asbestos. It was used as insulation for flooring, and now it was determined that it can cause cancer in dust form.
Okay. Name three building materials that may contain asbestos. John, you can jump in anytime.
I think. Oh yeah. Vinyl. Is that one?
Mm-hmm. Tiling.
And
Pipe wrap.
what was that? Pinecraft?
Insulation wrap.
Couldn't hear you.
Pipe insulation wrap.
Pipe. Okay. And then that water heater. That's what you were talking about, the pipe wrap, right? The one that is used around the piping of the water heater.
No, that's insulation. We talk about back back when they wrapped it up like a cast. That was what asbestos.
They used it in ceiling tiles.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
Okay.
Move forward. Name 3 diseases associated with asbestos exposure.
Asthma.
Asthma.
Good.
Cancer.
Cancer.
Cancer. Okay. So when is asbestos a health hazard?
In dust form.
or when inhaled. Okay. So, what disease is directly related to asbestos exposure? Cancer.
Cancer.
hmm
Oh, okay. I get you.
Okay. Who are you going to call if asbestos must be removed and encapsulated?
OSHA.
Try again.
A professional, a licensed professional,
Correct.
someone who's done 2 years of art school or whatever it was.
Correct.
Was that APR or APPR or something like that?
But you are going to call a licensed professional. Okay. All right, moving on. So, OSHA has many helpful programs, including assistance about safety and health programs, state plans, workplace consultation, voluntary protection programs, strategic partnership, training and education, and more. Okay? So if you guys want to learn more about mold, asbestos, and so on, then you guys, on your time, can research. Okay?
Yes.
So let's get into the summary. All right, so let's discuss what we learned about the basics of mold and how to analyze health hazard associated with mold. Chris, you're first.
Okay. Pretty much what I learned is that asbestos is very simple as opposed to what we learned yesterday, and that
Talking about mold.
indefinite. Oh, mold. Yeah, mold is serious, and it's definitely something that you don't want to do alone if you don't have the license for it and the experience, especially. There are ways to combat it and there are ways to slow it down, but the best way to get it done the right way is to really get a licensed professional in there and take care of it. You don't ever want to do something like that by yourself because you can mess up.
Okay.
Stuff up.
John?
It's important to get the affected materials out of the building and get it ventilated.
Okay. Alex?
Well, make sure that the areas, make sure that the home or the rooms are very well ventilated to make sure that there's no moisture or humidity that is stored, which will initiate or ignite, I don't know what would be the right word, so that mold is grows. And if you notice that is going on, call, like you said right now and made it very clear, call the licensed professional to make sure that they handle that ASAP. Of course, taking the proper precautions prior to getting the mold.
Okay, good. So finally, let's recap the rules and regulations regarding mold remediation and assessment. And you just said it, Alex. Contact a licensed professional. Okay.
Yeah, sure.
Apparently, there are licensed professionals that can tell you if it's mold and stuff. So the way I look at mold is, I think of it as a hairy spider. If it doesn't have hair, it is not mold. If it's not furry, not mold.
Okay.
That's how I go into a place and the tenant says, I got mold in my bathroom. I go in there and I'm like, no, it's not mold.
All right. So if there's no, if it's just a decoloration, it's just the black spots. Just because it's a black spot, it doesn't mean it's mold, right?
Correct. I just finished saying mold is furry and hairy.
Furry. Okay.
You will see it. It's greenish brown. Black spot, it's either mildew or a water stains from people taking showers and the droplets never make it off the wall or the ceiling.
Yeah, like
Okay.
mold on bread. If you ever looked at mold on bread,
Oh yeah.
green and it's mold.
The The reason I ask you is because I have some black spots in the sheetrock in my restroom, so that's how. Yeah, no.
Okay, that could be a heavy case of mildew.
Okay. Yeah, it's been there. It's been there for a while.
Is it growing?
No, it hasn't.
Mold. What do we learn about mold?
That mold grows,
Mm-hmm.
and that it releases particles, and if it falls on carpet or on furniture or on items, it begins to grow.
Correct. Okay, gentlemen. So this concludes our mold training for today. You guys want to stay online? Alex will show you some pictures of what mold looks like. All right.
All right.
So
Sure.